What's going on, world? It's your man AJ McQueen, and I have some things that I want to share. And shout out to everybody. I pray blessings. You know what I'm saying, to whoever's watching this. But I got some things I want to share with the general public, and I pray that this helps everybody. I recently spoke at a university, and one of the topics that I was booked to speak about, what the theme of the event had to do with, royalty and everything, which kind of led me on this journey, or this study. This is also a study rather of just life, man, and evolution and history and everything like that, and which led me to where I am now. This topic, it's something that we've been dealing with a lot in this world. Something that we all will face. I think there's a big misconception, on it, and a big misunderstanding, and I want to break it down to people, and I pray that this reaches the masses. Yeah, and that thing, now I'm getting to my topic. That thing that I want to talk about is, dying. You hear a lot of people talk about how they ready to die, man. Some people are not, some people are, and but the thing is, we all are gonna. That's something that's inevitable. That's something that we're all gonna have to face. And I did a juvenile. I spoke at a juvenile facility not too long ago, and I was talking to the audience, and you hear people say, and I remember one of the the juveniles, their response about dying was, I'm ready to go. And you hear a lot of people talk about how they ready to die. I'm ready to die. I'm ready to go. If God called me home, then it's time for me to go. So, and I asked, you ready to die, right? Right. But are you ready to be murdered? And when you ask it like that, it makes the person think. We all gonna die one day, but to break down dying, you have murdered and assassinated. Let's myth breaker number one. Nobody dies on accident. You know what I'm saying? There's no accidents. Roaches die on accident. Roaches die for no reason, without a purpose. We don't, us as people being made in God's image, we don't just die. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's the big misconception, that we have, or the big misunderstanding. Man, nobody just dies. So to think that, we were born with a purpose, and think that we gonna die on accident, that's kind of, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? How do you die? How do you get born? You brought into this world, and we got most of us have that down pat. We know God made us. You know what I'm saying? We know God made us in His image. When it get down to our death, and not just death, but just life in general, we kind of we don't know. You know what I'm saying? And that's the issue. And I believe that's why a lot of people not living to their full potential, because we think about our coming, but we don't think about our going as much. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. Ask yourself, well, when I die, will I be murdered or assassinated? They're two different things. You can't be born on purpose and understand that God gave me a purpose, but when I die, I don't know when, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen, and whenever it happens, I hope I'm ready. I don't think that's how that works. And I have some scripture references that I want to refer to. One of them is Psalms 90. And I'll read that. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll read some of it. Which says, and I'm recording this too, so if you see me messing with this little mic thing, I'm gonna start doing audio, CDs and everything for my audience. So that's why you see me messing with this. Psalms 90, and I'm reading from the NIV. Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. Before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the earth and the world. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You turn men back to dust, saying, return to dust, O sons of men. For 1,000 years in your sight are like one day that is just going by, or like a watch in the night. You sweep men away in the sleep of the day. You sleep men away in the sleep of death. They are like the new grass of the morning, though in the morning it springs up new. Please listen. By evening it is dry and is withered. We are consumed by your anger and terrified by your indignation. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. All our days pass away under your wrath. We finish our years with the morn. The length of our days is 70 years or 80 if we have the strength. The length of our days are 70 years or 80 if we have the strength. Yet their span is but trouble and sorrow, for they quickly pass and we fly away. Who knows the power of your anger? For your wrath is as great as the fear that is due you. Teach us to number our days, aright, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Now, looking back at verse 10 of Psalms 90, the length of our days is 70 years or 80 if we have the strength. And beyond, I know some people live beyond that, and that's God's grace, you know what I'm saying? And living in general is God's grace, don't get me wrong, but let's deal with the social dynamics of it all. And we look at it, and if you look at your life in retrospect and we see these past evidence, these past situations and circumstances, and we call it God's grace. So to live and to die is God's grace. But to take it a little deeper, all this people dying at a young age and all these funerals that we go to, and my cousin got shot, and he died, God called him home. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. When I believe that when we die before our time, and when I say time, I'm not referring to whenever God, this random day when God gonna call us home. I'm not ignorant to the fact that I'm gonna die one day, but I'm relying on what God told me, the 70 plus the 80 with strength. And beyond, and with His grace, or unless I'm assassinated. Now I'll get into that in a little bit. God, He gave us a time span, and in verse 12 He talks about numbering our years. God teach us to number our days. A lot of us are not numbering our days, and I believe that's why the unknown variable in this thing we call life. There's no accidents, you know what I'm saying? And I believe that a lot of us think that we're just living. We understand we have a purpose, but it's not as deep as Paul's was, as Daniel, as Peter. We I don't know, you know what I'm saying? And Psalms 90 clearly shows us God gives us, you know what I'm saying, the grace. He numbered our years for us, but we have to be taught to number our own. So, if we die, and I know people die every day, don't get me wrong, but we can't just keep saying that's God's plan, you know what I'm saying? Unless, now listen to me, unless we step outside the ark of safety, unless we're, unless we fall outside of God's plan for our life, unless we journey off and willfully and nothing can pluck us outside the hand of God, but we can pluck ourselves outside, you know what I'm saying? So in that, in the event that we do, we are these men. You know what I'm saying? We are these men. You sweep men away in the sleep of death. They are like new grass of the morning. The writer said they, you know what I'm saying, which separated himself from that. And then he gets back into we, verse 7. So in verse 5, he said, you sweep men away in the sleep of death. They are like the new grass of the morning. Though in the morning it springs up new, by evening it is dry and withered. We are consumed by your anger. Overall, we all are consumed by God's. We know we all will meet God's judgment and everything. But to think that these people are dying, and there's so many young people out here dying every day, and not just young people, but just overall, man, a lot of us are dying, and we're getting assassinated. We're getting murdered. You know what I'm saying? And I have a book coming out in a couple months called The Art of Life, and in this book I do science, break religion down to science, if you will, and I talk about the difference between being assassinated and murdered. So I'll just give a little give us a few nuggets here, you know what I'm saying, and just make sure you get the book. But a lot of people think about, okay, we're going to die one day, but will you be murdered or assassinated? Will you be murdered or assassinated? Now, I know Webster's definition of murder and assassination, assassination for political reasons or whatever and all that, but just listen to me. We're going to take those words, but we're going to, use them in different contexts. Same meaning, just in different contexts. Tupac, Biggie, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Jesus, Michael Jackson. You know, I can go down. I'm just using people of renown that that I know that our culture and our generation can relate to. I know there's many more people, but I'm gonna use those people for reference. Were they assassinated or murdered? Now, we cut on the TV and you know, when Biggie died, Tupac died, as a community, as a hip hop community, as a culture, you know, we say that they were assassinated. But when you look at it in retrospect, and look at what they live for and their influences and whom they influence and how they influence, you know, you see that these people who had great potential were assassinated because of their level of influence and what they can do. And I believe that if Biggie and Tupac and whomever, you know what I'm saying, have met God, and I don't know if they, you know, I don't know if they did, but if they did, it would have been so much power, you know what I'm saying, in there. But in the event of that, you know, you got these great people dying outside the will of God. That's murder, you know what I'm saying? And the thing about, you know, being murdered, I want to deal with it in the context of just, you know, this thing that, because the Bible talks about how, you know, Jesus came to give life and life more abundantly, and the devil came to steal, kill, and destroy. And it also talks about how, you know, God wishes no man perishes. So I have a hard time understanding how we teach to our kids and, you know, the youth that, you know, you're not an accident. You know what I'm saying? But when you die, it's an accident. You see what I'm saying? Like, we were made in God's image. God made us on purpose, with purpose, for purpose. You know what I'm saying? But when it come down to our death, you know, you can die any day. You know what I'm saying? And I just believe that we should stop teaching that. You know what I'm saying? Because, and it's not even a scripture in the Bible. You know, when people say tomorrow's promised to no man, the Bible doesn't say that. You know what I'm saying? If we're gonna try to quote biblical principles and spiritual enrichments, then we should say them accurately, because I believe that we're hanging on to this concept that, you know, we live in this life like our death has to be on purpose. You see what I'm saying? And i.e. assassination. You know, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were assassinated. You know, and it's because of their level of greatness that they went down in history and, you know, according to the media, as being assassinated, not murdered. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a play on words to some, but I'm just dealing with those two words, you know what I'm saying, assassinated and murder. A lot of people, you know, taking these concepts and just twisted them up. And that I don't understand it. I think that we should stop teaching that, you know what I'm saying? What is a sentence without the proper punctuation? You know? What is a sentence without the proper ending? You know what I'm saying? If the punctuation is not correct, then the sentence is null and void. You know, your sentence, you know, didn't mean nothing, you know what I'm saying, without the proper ending. So how can our life start off, you know what I'm saying, if God made us in his image, then when it get down to our death, we like, you know, he, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I see, you know, a lot of people, you know, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, what have you, you know, we had somebody die. I've had close people in my life die, you know what I'm saying, family members and everything, and, you know, rest in peace and everything. And then when we get to the funeral, we talk about how, you know, God called them home. I beg to differ. God is probably weeping that you came, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, in all actuality, you know, we're going to stand before a righteous God at the end of the day. That's another teaching. But, you know, there's a difference. Dying, it's not just dying, it's assassination, it's murder. You know, a lot of people are just being murdered. You see it on World Star Hip Hop, YouTube, on the news every day. You know what I'm saying? People are just getting murdered. You know, assassination is for God, for everything to be designed. You see what I'm saying? And we go when God called. I believe Martin Luther King knew he was finna die. I even believe that Biggie and Tupac knew they were finna die. You know what I'm saying? Jesus knew. And in retrospect, we see that Jesus, he wasn't he was crucified, and we know the whole story. But if you look at it, they sought him out to kill him, and I believe that's how great we should be. You know what I'm saying? So we're living to grow and to have renown, just as Jesus did. You know what I'm saying? We're living to make his name great, and in the event of that, I mean, have a way God calls us home, he calls us home. But the thing about God calling you home is that it's on purpose. You see what I'm saying? It ain't no accident. You know, roaches die accidentally or haphazardly. You walk, you step, I killed the roach. You see what I'm saying? So why are we comparing ourselves to that? We're made in God's image. You know what I'm saying? In the image of Christ, and we shall die in the image of Christ. You know what I'm saying? And it makes me furious when I hear that. You know, I feel like that's just ignorance. You see what I'm saying? I feel like it's just ignorance. You know, we can die before our time, though. As we saw in Psalms 90 and 12, it talked about, you know, the 70 plus 80, but we can't die before our time. And I want to go to Ecclesiastes, I think that's how you're supposed to say it real quick. Yeah, so we see here in Ecclesiastes 7, verse 17, but I'm going to read verse 15 for context. It says, "In this meaningless life of mine I have seen both of these, a righteous man perishing in his righteousness, and a wicked man living long in his wickedness. Do not be over righteous, neither be over wise. Why destroy yourself? Do not be over wicked, and do not be a fool. Why die before your time?" So what we see here is that, you know, you can be over righteous and over wise and destroy yourself, which a lot do. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people do. They, you know, over righteous, over wise, and, you know, prideful and what have you. And that's a quest of life that we all, you know, that's a phase of life that we all experience sometimes. Even I have, you know, but we have to get out of there. We have to recognize that we in those, you know, positions. And then it says in verse 17, "Do not be over wicked," you know, and don't be a fool. Why die before your time? It is possible to die before your time, but the question is, when is your time? When is my time? When is our time? And I take that and I go right back to Psalms 90 and say that our time, you know, that God gave us 70 plus 10 years with strength, and even the more so with grace, you know, but our time varies, and it all depends on the life we live, you know, and the mission that we on. You know, for some of us, God is using our life as a testament and as an epistle, you know, as a spectacle. You know what I'm saying? And in that, you know, we never know. I mean, I want to say that we living to give God glory. So if that's in our death, if that's in our life, we living to give God glory. But we know that. You know what I'm saying? Jesus knew that. You know what I'm saying? He knew that could nobody kill him before his time. And he knew when it was time. So how come we live this unknown? We have this unknown variable in this equation we call life. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to stop teaching that. I think that we need to get back to the book. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are, you know, there's a big difference between being murdered and assassinated. A lot of people being murdered. Assassination depends on your greatness, who you influence, how you influence. And it don't matter who you are, what you're doing. If you're a teacher, if you're a preacher, if you're a rapper, if you're a poet, if you're a doctor, if you're a professor, if you're a mother, if you're a father, you should be doing that task God gave you in so great of a way, in such a great way that for you to die in the midst of that, while you're doing that, will be assassination. You know what I'm saying? I hope you're following me. For you to die in the midst of being a student, being a parent, it'll be foolish because you're so great at what God calls you to do. You know what I'm saying? That for anything, that it would be assassination, you know, at that point. It'll be assassination at that point, you know, for you to die in the midst of that. You know? And that's how we have to think about our lives. That's not cockiness. That's as Jesus did. You know what I'm saying? Humbleness, but also courageousness, understanding that our life means something. And I'm not ignorant to the fact that, you know, people die, you know, health issues and all other type of stuff. But that's beyond my point. You know what I'm saying? My point is the social issue, the social dynamics of this thing we call life. You see what I'm saying? We have to change the way we think about it, because if you change the way you think about it, you change the way you live it. You see what I'm saying? The life we live in should be so great, and whatever task that we're doing should be so great. If, you know, I eat a lot of chicken, you know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to stop, you know, as I have a problem. Pray for me. But, you know, for me to, you know, die because of chicken, you know what I'm saying? I want to live in such a way that, you know, if 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 it happened, you know what I'm saying, to where chicken bone took my life or cholesterol, what have you, that I would be so great to the media, and that the people who knew me, and the people who were my influence, and you know what I'm saying, my disciples, and everything, you know what I'm saying, people who follow me wouldn't believe that something so petty could take out somebody so great. You see what I'm saying? So the media make up a story talking about that, Popeyes put poison in chicken, you know what I'm saying? And because they wouldn't just believe that I killed myself off a chicken bone. You see what I'm saying? I hope I didn't lose nobody, but my point is, we should be living so great in such a way that our legacy is being written. You know what I'm saying? It was a speaker that came to the college and spoke. I forgot his first name, but his last name was Bell. So Mr. Bell, and I want to reference him. He said something. He did a presentation about legacy, and he talked about how we plan a legacy, we build a legacy, and we leave a legacy. We should be planning, living, building a legacy each and every day. Mr. Bell said that we should plan a legacy, build a legacy, and leave a legacy. We should be living in such a way that for us to be murdered is craziness. The only time we go is when God calls us. And many are called, few are chosen. And sometime in this chosen life, our lives are used, for God's glory, even in our death. You see what I'm saying? And i.e. Martin Luther King, and we have to understand that, God can call us, but let that be God called, and you didn't arrive, your bus didn't pull up to death early. You see what I'm saying? Because even God will be weeping. Like, why are you here? I always told I told my friends, my close friends, they know this. You can ask them. You don't know them, but it's beyond the point. They know. I'll tell them, that if because I'm not perfect, and we all have different things that we go through. But in this life, if I die, you know what I'm saying, before my time, and you know it's before my time, you will know. If I die, if I step outside the ark of safety, if I step outside of God's will and I die, resurrect me, man. Do not let me sit there in that dirt, you hear me? Do not let me sit there on that ground or whatever happens. Resurrect me, man. I don't care what happens. Resurrect me, call me up, because I have enough faith that I'm going to get up, and they better. I'm going to do the same for them. In faith and understanding that, God gave us the power to, but that's in a whole nother study. But what I want to drive home is to this generation, especially to my youth, is people dying out here every day. But in those who've been called and chosen and just who understand God's purpose and will for our lives and the lives of others, we have to change the way we approach this thing we call life, and stop promoting all this dead stuff and speaking about this stuff like we're not called to live. I understand Jesus died at 33, so his life didn't get to that 70 plus 80 with strength. He was called, so I understand that. We already established that, but the problem is we got young people dying at 14, 15, 16, and they're not understanding this because we're not teaching this. I got shot when I was 15. I got shot, inch away from being paralyzed, and I shouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying, according to the media and the doctors, that where the bullet was an inch away from hitting my main artery, and me being paralyzed from the waist down and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I'm here, glory to God. But if I would have died, that was murder, man. I wasn't living for anything. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't living for anything, and I mean, who was I influencing, and what was I influenced by? Nothing, you know what I'm saying? And so I was living for no reason, no purpose. I didn't understand my potential. I wasn't walking in it. And for me, I would have died and been forgotten, But the way that I think now, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to assassinate me. You're going to take me out here. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to take me out, and if I'm beheaded like some of the disciples, if whatever happens, you know what I'm saying, that's assassination. They sought me out to kill me because I was running my mouth about this person we call Jesus, or what have you, whatever's going on. But we have to change the way we approach this thing we call life. The sentence means nothing without the proper punctuation. So ask yourself, will you be murdered or assassinated? Assassination, that renown, that the legacy, lives on. You know what I'm saying? Murder. Just, your life was stolen from you by the devil. You know what I'm saying? Your life was stolen. You know? Assassination. When the disciples were stoned and beheaded, they were sought out to be killed. You know what I'm saying? And their life was a testament to us that we live. Martin Luther King's life was a testament. Malcolm X's life was a testament. Biggie and Tupac, I mean, at the end of the day, they had an impact on the urban community and what have you. And that's up for argument, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they were murdered, man. That's my opinion. They were murdered. They were great nonetheless in that arena, you know what I'm saying? They were able to influence a lot, but it's about what influenced them and what they had on the inside that harbored them, you know what I'm saying? And that they were governed by, you know, which makes this thing we call death acceptable and unacceptable. You know, there's a such thing as acceptable death, dying for a purpose. You know, a lot of people, these young people out here dying, they're not thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? When I was out there in the streets, my block, my reputation, and you know, that's what mattered to me, and all that. And I thank God that He gave me more time, and I grew up fast. You know what I'm saying? Because I understood that. But a lot of people not given that time. The devil is playing for keeps. You know, the devil's playing for keeps. The devil went to God about Job, because Job was in God. You know, that's another study. You know what I'm saying? The devil ain't going to God about some of us. If we not in God, the devil's coming straight to your front door, designed to sift you like wheat. You know, so it's a battle, but we have to change the way we think, and therefore we change the way we live. You know, live life like every day's your last. All this other type of these riddles that we you know. Tomorrow ain't promising no man. All these riddles, man. I stick with the scriptures. You know, I'm on a mission, and I have a vision, and for me to be taken out before the mission and the vision that God gave me is fulfilled, it's murder. Yeah. And my prayers is for this generation, man, that we understand that we're here with a purpose. We were born with a purpose, for a purpose. And we're going to die. We should die with a purpose, on purpose, for a purpose. All that, you know. I'm very passionate about this. And we have to ask ourselves each day, you know what I'm saying, that if we must leave here, you know what I'm saying, you're going to take me out, because I must do what God told me to do, you know what I'm saying? And the only way for me to come home is when God calls me, you know what I'm saying, home, you know. So my prayers is for this generation, and I pray that everybody, you know, take heed to the message, man, you know. And if anybody have any, you know, comments or remarks or what have you, you know what I'm saying, I'm always open to it, you know. But I'm just, you know, telling the truth. If live, and if you must die, be assassinated. Don't let nobody tell you, you know, and it's crazy because we don't let nobody tell us we were accidents and born, you know, all that. So our death is not an accident. It's murder or assassination. So think about the people who died in our life and who lived before us or what have you, and just think about it, man. Were they murdered or assassinated? Were their life a legacy? Did they have a legacy? Did they have renown and the influence, and who influenced them, and how did they influence others? And that's how you know if a person's life is taken. And it's sad because some people don't get to that point to recognize their potential. Their life is taken before they, and God takes no lives. You know what I'm saying? You're not taking no lives. You know? The devil come to take. Christ came to give life and life more abundantly. So, murdered or assassinated, which will you be? With the knowledge and wisdom that God has given us, it's time for us to speak on it and be active. You know, so let's stand up. You know, I'm here. You know, and I'm about this life. You know what I'm saying? So you can hit me up on Facebook. Twitter, at Mr. AJ McQueen. You can also go to my website, which is below, www.ajmcqueen.com. I would love, to come to, your school, your church, your university, your convention. Follow me as I follow Christ. And for booking information, you can call 832-510-4751, or you can email aj@ajmcqueen.com.